I've written an additional prayer for today. We have already said several times in the ancient liturgy, al chet, for the sin of scorning or speaking ill at parents and teachers. That is a sin that we must embrace as a community. I know from our teachers, actually, I'm only guessing, so if I'm wrong, you'll say, you thought badly of us, Rabbi. I can only imagine the thoughts that teachers and administrators have had of us parents who have been suffering over the pandemic and who have often not been able to restrain ourselves in expecting things the way we want them, the way we're used to them, and the way we think our children need them. And sometimes even the best of us get caught by saying something like, did you have to do it that way? Or couldn't you do something else? Or don't you know this is bad for them? Or don't you know the other thing is bad for them? And I'll tell you, if there's one job I definitely would not want over the pandemic, it would be a principal, an administrator, or superintendent of schools. And I think they walk with the angels. I think because they walk a tightrope in which they're swerving back and forth and trying to remain in balance. So I know that administrators and teachers must have some thoughts in their mind that are like, these parents, just can't keep them happy. Welcome to the clergy. And the other way. We have not shown our respect to our teachers. We have spoken ill of them, maybe in private and maybe in public, maybe with body language, or maybe with an email that maybe shouldn't have gotten sent. We've been frustrated for our children, and we've expected more from them, even when they're giving everything they have. This breach needs to be healed, and for a day where we're extending all the way to the back of the room with hundreds more streaming the service, let's start with this prayer. Let's start in our lives. Let's start when we do our al chet, think of what can I do to heal that breach? Insult perhaps was added to injury this year with Michigan state law kicking into its automatic rote of the first, Wednesday in October for Count Day. And this is a school district that doesn't take off for Yom Kippur. We would love that, but we also know that there are a lot of considerations that are at play. And it made us feel like we are not counted. And I want to ask you in the sanctuary, and if you're comfortable who are streaming doing it as well, if you are a child or if you have a child or a grandchild in the Ann Arbor School District, would you please stand up? If you are a teacher or a retired teacher in the Ann Arbor School District or beyond, would you please stand up? If you are the parent or child or a grandparent of a child who goes to another school, maybe not in the Ann Arbor School District, would you please stand up? And if you yourself or your child or grandchild went in the past to the Ann Arbor schools, will you please stand up? Will you please remain standing as I invite Janice Swift up to share my prayer, for she chose to be counted with us today.
A prayer for our teachers by Rabbi Nadav King. May God grant blessing upon all of our teachers, administrators, and all who work to provide education to our young. We know that they have dedicated themselves to a holy profession of service. But during these past years, we have asked of them more than any of us had a right to. They bore the burden of our frustrations, our stresses, our needs, our outbursts, and our losses. We pray for forgiveness. We know that you built the universe out of Torah, which means teaching, and that we show our love through showing our dedication to teaching. Teachers do not simply teach content, they care for souls. As Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel taught, it is the personality of the teacher which is the text that the pupils read, the text that they will never forget. May you bless all those who work in education as they continue their holy work, in which they lift up our children, our communities, and our future. We honor with gratitude their commitment, often giving energy and attention when they felt they could give no more, often at the expense of their own self-care. We have been the recipients of their love and of their compassion. May God grant all who work in education a renewal of spirit, of energy, of compassion, of time, of healing, of comfort, and of love. And may our modest words of gratitude may be heard by you on high. And we say, Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. Thank you, Superintendent Swift. I know the superintendent actually did not